In the 70s and 80s, the people of Lebanon in the Middle East experienced a devastating civil war. It lasted for about 15 years. Lives lost, communities destroyed, destruction everywhere you looked. Pain, reminders of that pain everywhere you turned. Except in the Bekaa Valley, where in 1990, a group of farmers decided they wanted to bring a different image of Lebanon for their own people, but also for the world looking on. And so what would be this new image that would best convey what they wanted to say to their people? Wine. Cultivated rows of grapes, trunks planted firmly in the dirt, branches spreading out among these trellises. You can picture it. Turning dirt and water and sunlight into this fruit, a fruit that produces a drink that reflects the land that it is grown in, the culture that it is grown in, the people that grow it. A drink that's used for celebrating, for throwing parties, for community building, for bringing joy in the midst of the hardships of life, even devastating hardships like war. Noah did something similar. Noah was the first winemaker. We often lose sight of that because we get so wrapped up in the story of Noah and the ark, the flood, the rain, the destruction, the animals, the boat, the dove, the rainbow, all this beautiful story. But we miss that Noah actually has a bit of a backstory. We find it in Genesis 5, which has the genealogy from Adam to Noah. And honestly, it's kind of boring. It reads pretty dry. This person had this person lived this long, and then they gave birth to this person, and they lived this long. It's pretty standard genealogy stuff. Until we get to Noah, where we find Noah's father, Lamech, giving Noah a name and then telling us the reason for that name. It says, he named him Noah and said, he will comfort us in the labor and the painful toil of our hands caused by the ground the Lord has cursed. Noah as a name connotes rest and comfort, repose. Noah's family was farmers, and as we know from the curse at the beginning of Genesis, they worked hard and they toiled and they labored. And Lamech had faith that his son Noah was going to bring comfort in that work. And so Noah survives the terror of the flood. He survives the arduous, challenging living situation on a boat with animals, with his family. And when he steps off the boat onto dry land, he goes back to the work that he knew, the work of farming. He was a man of the soil, a man familiar with the soil. But he doesn't plant wheat, he plants a vineyard. Noah was the first one to plant these vines, to cultivate these grapes, to turn them into wine, and then, honestly, to get in trouble a little bit for enjoying that beverage a little more than maybe he should have. But he fulfilled that promise in the name his father had given him, because wine is comforting. It's a rest from challenging labor. And for the Lebanese winemakers, just as for Moses, wine became a gift, a symbol of health and prosperity, of joy, of community, of life. So it isn't surprising that we see wine symbolized this way throughout the entire Hebrew scriptures. In fact, we see in Psalm 80 that the people of Israel, God's people, become likened to this vine. And God is seen as the farmer, as the one cultivating. Psalm 80 tells us the story of a vine transplanted from Egypt, planted, land cleared, root taken. God did that work for his people. He brought them out of Egypt and he cared for them tenderly and lovingly. But the psalm continues and tells the story that there is confusion and hurt because God has allowed the vine to be cut down, to be burned. his people Israel were allowed to be destroyed. And then we move over to Isaiah chapter 5, and we read that this vine has become wild. The vine refused to be planted, refused to be cultivated, wouldn't let good fruit come from it, and so God is allowing it to be trampled and overgrown. And ancient Jews knew this was their symbol. They were this vine. This symbolism is essential to their art, to their songs, to their literature, to their story as a people. But then enters Jesus and flips this whole idea upside down once again. Because during his last few moments with the disciples, he has the boldness to declare, I am the vine. And then a few lines later, just in case they missed it, I am the true vine. You are the branches. They are no longer the vine. Jesus is the vine. And the vine is no longer a nation. It is now a person, the person of Jesus. Jesus Christ is the one planted into the soil, the one rooted, the one from whom the branches spread and grow and flower and fruit. And Jesus is not just any vine. Jesus is the true vine. Jesus is the one that can be faithful to the work that Israel was called to do, but were unable to fulfill. Jesus is the one planted to bring life, to bring beauty and health. Jesus is the one to stay attached to receive life from. Jesus is the true vine.